Hello, everybody out there, and welcome to another episode of Black Spinner Music Podcast. And today with us, we've got two special guests. Today we have Al Horta from Be Cool or Be Podcast Out. And also we have Eddie Canastrossi from Rock
No,
All
you got
Over,
it. No, you were right the first
right,
time.
Rock All Over
You
Podcast.
Rock all over you podcast.
Rock All Over You Podcast. It took me a while to get Al's straight too. But thank y'all so much, you two, for joining me on this episode. Now, this episode, our subject matter, our topic is going to be the holy trinity of hard rock heavy metal albums, and that being the Black Sabbath's Paranoid, Led Zeppelin 4, and Deep Purple's Machine Head. Now, the only reason why I start off with Black Sabbath was because that was the one that was released first. I'm just talking about all of them that were released in order. Black Sabbath came out in September 1970. Led Zeppelin came out in January of 71. And Deep Purple's Machine Head was March of 72. I'm sorry, March of 72. So, they were released very close to each other, and they were changing the sound of music at that time, especially in the early 70s, coming out of all of them coming out of England and really putting a big dent in the hard rock and heavy metal, and even being forerunners of it. So, y'all have been watching these vinyl battles, and what we're going to do and go by track, and then at the end, we will have a tally. So what's going on, Al? You've been doing all right?
Yeah, I've been great, man. Just went to go see Motley Crue and Def Leppard and Poison last Friday. It was a good show. I mean, it kind of went there already with low expectations.
that sounds wise.
So, I mean, admittedly, I was given free tickets for this, so that's why I went. I wouldn't have paid for it because I've seen these bands plenty of times. I feel for people who spent a lot of money on Motley Crue for their last tour, and for them to come back, and go back on that contract. People are pissed, man.
Yeah, it's all bullshit. They lie.
But I was given free tickets. I have a perk where I get like a lot of free tickets. Andy knows that.
Yeah.
I mean, even if it's a train wreck for free, why wouldn't you go see a rock and roll train wreck?
Dude, and honestly, dude, going to one of these shows, the best is people watching. Because a lot of people are like, it's like traveling back to 1980, man. 1980s with the way a lot of people were dressed and everything. It was great, though. I mean,
it's like middle-aged heavy metal parking lot.
Oh, definitely, man. You could definitely film a sequel to that there, and it was cool. Admittedly, I told Andy this before we went live. I'm not a big Poison fan. I mean, I like a couple of their songs, but they actually were the best ones on that show, man. They came out with the most energy. I thought they were the most authentic sounding because, let's be honest, man, Motley Crue are playing the backing tracks. Okay. They have backing tracks going on. There's no doubt about it. And I even think Def Leppard even has that going on too. Def Leppard sounds a bit too polished to me. I'm a fan of Def Leppard's first 3 albums. And then after that, they lost me.
Same here.
They got a little way too poppy for me. This, song here and there, that was good and catchy. But for the most part, give me On Through the Night, High and Dry, and Pyromania. That's the Def Leppard for me. And they went on last because Def Leppard and Motley Crue are flip-flopping. So it was I went in there late, so I missed Joan Jett, but I've seen her plenty of times. Then it was Poison. So I got in there, it was Poison, Motley Crue, and Def Leppard. So Def Leppard and Motley are flip-flopping every night. One's closing and then the other closes the next night, whatever. So, and, pretty much Motley's stage show is pretty minimal. It's no pyro, no Tommy Lee started out only playing a couple songs, and then Tommy Clufetos takes over. So there's no like drum
flip it in the air.
The drum roller coaster.
Yeah, but I think that has a lot to do with the fact that they're sharing a bill with Poison and Def Leppard.
Yeah.
You know, to have a drum thing like that and to break it down, whatever for Def Leppard said, would probably be a nightmare. So that's probably why they leave that out.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, I mean, it was a cool show to go to. I mean, when you want nostalgia, that's, you know, you can't get any better than that, really. You know, so
I've been hearing from a lot of people, and a lot of people like yourself who aren't big Poison fans, but they all have been saying Poison has been playing the best. That's what everyone's saying. A lot of people, I've heard a lot of people say, "Hey, I don't really like Poison," but they went out there with, you know, with some heart, and they're actually playing with the most passion. That's what
they
a lot
are,
of people
man.
say.
They really are. I mean, they look like they're having fun on stage, interacting with each other, and yeah, dude, they're coming off like really, really well on here. You know, I mean, you know, Motley, you know, they're a dysfunctional band.
Yeah.
You know, Def Leppard is a Def Leppard. They're just polished. They sound a little bit too polished to me, you know. Yeah. But everybody's left. I mean, they're always heavy on the Hysteria album, the songs.
Yeah.
You know, I could take or leave that, but I mean, we're the minorities. We're the hardcore. You know, these stadium shows. They're playing for the masses, and the masses like the hits.
Yeah, so, the casual fans.
The casuals. So, you know, it is what it is, man. So,
so
that was. And tomorrow I'm going to go see the Black Crowes. So I'm excited for that.
That's cool. Actually, technically, I always tell people the first band I ever saw was Aerosmith because that was the first concert at the Philly Spectrum. I don't know if you've ever been there.
I've been there, yes.
Yeah. My first concert was Aerosmith, the Pump Tour. But the opening act was the Black Crowes. So they were really the first band I ever saw because obviously they played before Aerosmith. So the first band I ever saw live was the Black Crowes.
That's cool, man.
Yeah,
and that was on Black Crowes' first album.
Yeah,
so,
which Shake Your Moneymaker. Yeah,
which is what they're doing in its entirety on this tour. They've been celebrating that album, so they're doing the whole album.
That's cool. But my favorite album is their second album, though. I love Southern Harmony.
Oh yeah, that's a great album.
That's my favorite album too.
Yeah, amazing album. Amorica's pretty good too.
And Amorica's great too. Yeah.
Who's opening up for them for the Crowes?
You know, I heard like on a couple of shows it was that '90s band Driving and Crying, which is a great band too.
Okay. I don't even remember them. I don't remember them.
I remember
they were part of that like '90s kind of like blues hard rock scene. You had Driving and Crying. You had the Black Crowes.
Yeah.
Why am I blanking out on some of these other bands? Like Brother Kane. You know, I think bands like that. It was kind of a whole bubbling scene in the '90s. It wasn't just grunge.
Right.
Yeah.
Everybody when everybody thinks of '90s, everybody automatically goes to grunge. But there was like a bunch of other scenes too. I mean, you had like kind of a jam band scene going on.
Yeah, you did.
You had the hard rock kind of bluesy scene going on. I mean, hip hop was getting big.
Yeah,
I mean, there was a whole bunch of different genres, man, that were besides grunge.
Yeah, and you had groove metal, Pantera, stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, going back to opening though, Driving and Crying is not opening the show tomorrow. I can't remember the name of the band, but I kind of wish it was Driving and Crying because I would have liked to see them. You know.
Yeah. When I saw the Black Crowes last year, they were playing the album. You know, this album, Shake Your Moneymaker, and Dirty Honey was opening up.
Oh yeah, Dirty Honey. I saw it last year too.
So that was pretty cool to see them.
Yeah, Dirty Honey's great,
up and coming band.
Yeah, Mark Allen Taylor is always talking about Dirty Honey. You know, has he been on this thing before?
Yeah, he's been on here a couple of times. Him and Jerry.
Yeah, he's a buddy of mine. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
So
so what's going on with you, Eddie?
Wait, you mean like personally, or?
No, just music-wise, and what kind of subjects do you have coming up on your up-and-coming podcast?
On the podcast, we have a lot of things. We stacked up a lot of shows. Actually, we recorded a bunch of shows. Me and Eric record like whenever it's convenient for us.
Yeah.
So we stack it up, but we only put out an episode like every 2 weeks, and he takes his time to edit it. So we have a couple shows stacked up. In the future, we have we got Kiss Hot in the Shade. That should be entertaining. That should be a funny review for the most part. So, and what else do we got? We got we just recorded we just recently did Megadeth, which did he put that up last week. So we did it's like a 3-hour episode. It's about So Far, So Good, So What. We had a lot to say about that album, though.
Yeah, I started that one.
Yeah, that's a good one. So we did that recently. But so I think the next one we're talking about, it's either going to be Kiss or Anthrax. We recorded an episode for State of Euphoria. We did an episode about that. And we just recently did a crossover thing with Bushy and Mike Taylor from the Metal Show. I don't know if you're familiar with those guys. They do the Plug podcast. And we reviewed, what was the album? I forget. I'm thinking, what did we review? We spent a whole bunch of time talking about it. But anyway, we did that, and that should be up soon.
All right, cool. Well, we are looking forward to it. And for y'all out there, remember, it's the Rock All Over You podcast. So check that out. And also check out Al's.
Wait, I'm sorry. I remember now because we talked about the stadium tour. It's Motley Crue, Girls, Girls, Girls.
Okay.
I wanted to forget it.
Yeah, that's one of
I had to listen to the album.
Yeah, man, that's a really hard lesson. That's because I love the Theater of Pain. I love Theater of Pain, but
I like Theater of Pain too. I like Theater of Pain more than I should. I like it though. It's an all right third. It's the third best Motley Crue album, I guess.
Theater of Pain gets unfairly maligned because it followed Too Fast for Love and Shine of the Devil.
Yeah, which are easily their best albums.
Yeah,
not counting '94, which is kind of its own thing. I think.
I love '94.
Yeah.
That's
the
like one of
Robbie album's really
for
good.
For me, my favorites are the first two, then '94.
Same
it's like
here.
right there.
Same here. But but Girls, Girls, Girls. God, I don't know if you guys listened to that for a while. I don't want to talk too much about it because listen to the podcast.
Right.
But I gotta tell you, it's a wild thing, a Wild Side maxi single. Like it starts off good, and then
big nosedive.
It gets ugly.
And in fact, we ranked all the Motley Crue albums like a couple of months ago, Al. Around there, a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
And I heard Girls, Girls, Girls several times to see how low I was going to put it.
That's rough. I definitely think it's their weakest of the 80s. It's not.
Oh, yeah, it definitely is. Yeah. It really is. And then I think Al and I both agreed that Dr. Feelgood's a little overrated.
It's a little overrated by casual fans.
Yeah.
Some metalheads, I think it's a little underrated because people shit on it a lot. But I don't know. It's better than Girls, Girls, Girls.
Oh, yes, it is better than Girls, Girls, Girls.
Definitely a step up from that album.
You know what I have a problem with on Dr. Feelgood? And I know this is completely off topic of what we're supposed to be doing, but I think Nicky's lyric writing took a dive on that album. He fell into those heavy metal, rock and roll cliche lyrics, like sticky sweet, she goes down. I mean, come on, man. If you listen to his lyrics and read his lyrics from the first couple albums, he's got dark lyrics, man.
Yeah, everything's about his songwriting. We and again we talk a lot about this on the podcast, but we're convinced that how they said Paul's dead and he was replaced by an imposter. Now, there's not a lot of evidence for that because obviously Paul McCartney kept on being a good songwriter in the Beatles. So, obviously some guy didn't come in and suddenly write "Hey Jude," So, but there's a case that some guy replaced Nicky Sixx because after "Shadow of the Devil," the songwriting really goes down the toilet. And I mean, I don't you listen to those first two albums, you go, "Is this the same dude?"
Yeah,
that's writing those lame songs later on. I don't know.
Yeah,
and then it's got Dr. Feelgood has Time for Change. Oh, it's horrible song.
Because there's not that much time in between Girls, Girls, Girls and Shout at the Devil. There's only a couple, maybe 2 or 3 year.
That's no excuse. Look,
I know that's what I'm saying.
And Black Sabbath released 2 of their greatest albums, both in 1 year.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. How can his songwriting just go down the tube so quickly? Just nosedived.
Because they didn't care. They're too busy fucking and doing drugs and just didn't care. They just didn't care.
Yeah,
and they still don't care. That's why they don't have the heart that Poison has.
They were already millionaires. They already were at the top of the heap. So
I think Vince kind of cares. He likes eating fried chicken more. That's all.
Oh boy. He had 2 years to prepare this tour, man. He could have, Oh boy.
He
Anyway,
had a long time. Yeah. So the task at hand we have today are the three albums, the three big heavy metal albums that were released. Talk about Paranoid and Led Zeppelin 4 and Machine Head by Deep Purple. Now, I wanted to talk also about all the pieces that these bands had. They all had legendary guitar players, legendary frontman, legendary drummers. Their bass player was almost in the middle of everything, Geezer, and of course Glover became one of their producers, and then of course John Paul Jones played almost every instrument they wanted him to play, and not only played it, he mastered it. So there were so many different musicians on each of these bands that were fantastic, and that's why we have the albums that we have. When we're talking about legendary frontman, we got Ozzy and Ian Gillan and Robert Plant. I mean, those were the perennial lead vocalists, the frontmen that everyone later on tried to copy each of these guys. So that they have that going for them, and then the drummers. I mean, we had Bill Ward, Ian Pace, which happy birthday, Ian Pace. Today's his birthday.
74.
Yeah, 74. That's still kind of young for everything that he's been doing since, 67, because he's the only original guy in Deep Purple still.
Yeah,
he's been there since the very beginning.
Yeah, because John Lord's
the only original.
Yeah, John Lord
living. Yeah, so
living.
Yeah, he's the only one. Yeah.
And of course, we got Crazy John Bonzo Bonham for Led Zeppelin. We all know what kind of drummer he was. So, man, all these superstars on their own pretty much became stars from these bands and from these albums. So let's go ahead and break them down. So let's talk about track one on each album. Track one, we're going to start off with War Pigs, Black Dog, and Highway Star. Which one's your favorite, Al, of those three?
Well, like I said, man, I went into this not listening to any of these albums. I do this off the cuff. I don't prepare for these kind of things. I go on my gut. And I gotta tell you, man, these fucking first three songs is pretty tough, man. They're all iconic. They're all incredible songs. I mean, Black Dog, man, what can you say about that riff? Highway Star, one of the ultimate driving songs, and War Pigs. I mean, it's just like an epic in itself. I think for this one, man, I got to go with War Pigs, which is, of course, off of this album, Paranoid. So War Pigs, for me, lyrically, it's as relevant today as it was when it was written. Geezer is one of my favorite lyricists, actually. He's definitely in my top 5. I mean, the lyrics that he wrote in the original Sabbath were some of the best lyrics ever written, man. And I mean, just the way the song starts off with that heavy, like, Iomi riff, as only he can do, man. But I mean, this was a tough one because Black Dog is such an iconic riff too and song, and like I said, Highway Star is like, when I put that on, man, I mean, my pedal goes to the floor when I'm driving, But I'm gonna give the nod to War Pigs on this one for its relevancy, lyrics, and just like, I mean, musically, it's incredible too, But I mean, Sabbath is gonna get the nod on this one, but it was tough, man. It was tough.
Yeah, it really is, especially as of late. I've really been digging Deep Purple, and man, Highway Star just
incredible song, man.
It just does not lit up, man.
The way Ian comes in with the scream, oh, dude, it's like one of the most iconic screams ever,
And the last 4 minutes of excuse me, of John Lord and Richie Blackmore just straight off solos, like they started to do in Mark II, man. They just go back and forth at each other.
Yeah, great interplay between the two.
Yeah, there really is. Eddie, what's your favorite out of those three?
Yeah, I mean, and this is no disrespect to Highway Star and Black Dog, both amazing songs.
Mhm.
I love them, but this wasn't hard for me. War Pigs, easily. War Pigs. This is I did this YouTube video talking about Led Zeppelin, and I go on and on about how important they are to the evolution of heavy metal and modern music, and they're great. They're one of my favorite bands. I love it.
Right.
But when I was listening to Four and Paranoid back to back, it just struck me that, and this is saying a lot because both Deep Purple and Led Zeppelin, I think, were very ahead of their time. But Sabbath just sounded more modern, and that album's the earliest of the three albums. You know? Yeah. And you just like listen to War Pigs, like that sounds like that song could have been written today, both lyrically, musically. It's just there's just something really innovative about it, a little more, and that's not taking anything away from the other two songs. I mean, Highway Star sounds like proto Judas Priest. I mean, it's very innovative, and Black Dog and Jimmy Page's like production techniques, which we'll get into a little more when we get to some later tracks. But War Pigs, just the whole package, it's just a little more, as much as I love those songs, it's a little more powerful, It's just heavier, powerful. There's so much going on. And it has one little flaw. I don't like that speed up thing at the end. That always bothers me a little bit. I don't think the song should end that way. But the song is so perfect before that I don't want to be like a petty bitch because of that. So I let it go. But still, it's one of the most amazing songs ever written. It's so powerful. It's so relevant. And I also think it's the greatest anti-war song ever written. Mm-hmm. Lyrically, Geezer's lyrics, amazing. Just so down and primal and so no bullshit. Like, this is what it's about. This is the con and hustle of war. Mm-hmm. That's what it's about. We could romanticize it and say whatever you want about it. That's the real truth. That's what it is. That's what war is. Yep. And it's a powerful song. It's an amazing song. It's one of the greatest songs ever written. It's not even my favorite song on the album, but it should be. It's one of the greatest songs ever written. So War Pigs, easily for me.
Yeah, I'm going to go War Pigs as well.
There you go.
Just like Al and you were saying, the lyrics are just so haunting and so real and so true, especially when it comes about war.
They can be right today, man. It's the same, different time. The more things change, the more they stay this fucking same, dude.
Yeah.
And it's relevant. Like I said, it's as relevant today as it was when it was written in 1970.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just timeless, man. That's the mark of a timeless song. And that song's timeless. So
and everything is so fresh about it. The music doesn't sound dated at all. It could have been released last Friday, and it would be a great jam. So War Pigs was a clean sweep, but y'all that are watching this, it's not because we don't like Zeppelin or Deep Purple. We love all the bands.
Yep.
It's that this is the topic for today, and somebody's got to pick a winner.
We're being scientific here. It's a scientific method going on here.
Exactly. So let's move on to track 2. Track 2, we're going to have Deep Purple's Paranoid.
Black Sabbath.
I'm sorry, Black Sabbath's Paranoid against Led Zeppelin's Rock and Roll and Deep Purple's Maybe I'm a Leo, which is a really good track on that album. Just doesn't get enough talk about because there's so many monsters on there. So Al, what do you got going on for those for track 2?
Well, this one was looking at the 3 tracks here because I have the 3 CDs laid out in front of me, and looking at them. 2 of them you hear on the radio all the time. I'm not going to put the burnout factor into it, though. I'm really just going to go with what song I like the most. But obviously Paranoid and Rock and Roll get played to death on the radio, though. Okay, that's a given. Maybe I'm a Leo. You don't ever hear that on the radio. But I'm going to go with Maybe I'm a Leo because I think that song is an awesome song on Machine Head. One of the great deep tracks on there. I mean, if you're talking about in America, pretty much every track is a deep track, maybe saved for 2 songs on there. But maybe I'm a Leo, man. I'm gonna go with that one. I was never big on rock and roll like by Zeppelin. It's just a cool little jam that they did, and Paranoid, they banged that out. That was like an afterthought, when they were writing that album. Right. I think they had a couple minutes to fill, and I think Iommi just banged that track out, man, and it is what it is. And I honestly, like, you always hear those stories that those tracks that these bands bang out, like, and just write real quick, end up being like the big hits for them, I love Paranoid though, and I still love Paranoid. I still love rock and roll, but I'm gonna give it to Maybe I'm a Leo, because I like that song. I love it. It's well written, and the interplay between it's got a great groove to it, man. Ian Pace has a great groove to it, and the interplay between obviously Blackmore and Lord are incredible, So I'm gonna give it to Deep Purple. So it goes to this one here.
Good one. It's a good track. Eddie, what do you got going on in this one?
I tell you, I feel like so far me and Al are really on the same page. This is obviously we're saying what's our favorite, not what we objectively think is the best. I mean, objectively, obviously, I would say Paranoid objectively is the most innovative and best track here, even though Rock and Roll is a great song. But it's not just a burnout factor. I think Paranoid's a simple, fun song. It's really cool, but it's definitely not one of the more interesting Black Sabbath songs. I get why it's so popular. And the same with Rock and Roll. It's a fun song. It's a fun, rock and roll song. Great drumming and guitars. But I'm gonna go with Maybe I'm a Leo. Yeah, it's actually my favorite track on this album.
Oh, wow.
And there's just something. Also, in addition to metal and rock, I am a big fan of like 70s R&B and funk. Mm-hmm. So I think that plays a hand in this too, because this song's
funky. It's a funky track.
It's a funky track. It definitely foreshadows like Mark III a bit, where they got funkier, and it just has that groove. It's just really funky. The bam bam and bam 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 bam, and you just start grooving to it, and it's a great track, and it should be played on the radio. It really should. Yeah, it's a real gem. It's one of my favorite Mark II, actually, Deep Purple tracks, and my favorite song on the album. So I'm giving it to the underdog here. I'm giving it to Maybe I'm a Leo.
Cool.
All right. So Maybe I'm a Leo wins that round 2-1, because I'm going to go with Paranoid.
All right.
I got one. Paranoid is the song that got me into Black Sabbath. And rock and roll, when it's played on the radio, sometimes I listen to it and sometimes I don't. Sometimes I change it because it's just an okay song. But and Maybe I'm a Leo, it's a good track, and it fits well on the album, but I need to take that. But I need to go with Paranoid on that one, because I just love that track, always have and always will. But Maybe I'm a Leo wins that round. So that's one for Black Sabbath and one for Deep Purple. Fantastic. Okay, let's go to track 3. Track 3 is going to be Black Sabbath's Planet Caravan against Led Zeppelin's The Battle of Evermore, and Deep Purple doing Pictures of Home.
Wow, this one's...
Yeah, I was going to say, this is a tough one.
This is a tough one, man.
Those three songs are all awesome.
This is a real tough one, man.
Yeah.
Boy.
I got a winner, though. All right. You don't have your winner yet, Al?
No, like I said, man, I don't rehearse this.
That's right.
I'm picking it off the cuff now.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I love Planet Caravan. It's such a great, like, kind of, when you're sitting back, and I mean, back in the days when I used to smoke, I was in a different state of mind. I mean,
smoke what, Al? What are you talking about?
Al, this is a family show.
Clove cigarettes.
It was a great track to like actually just kind of get lost in, with Ozzy's, kind of treated vocals, and Battle of Evermore, man. I mean, that's such a great track too, man. And Pictures of Home, Jesus.
Yeah. God. This is a tough one.
Well, I think I'm just going to go with Battle of Evermore. It's such a mystical track. It's one of my favorite, actually, tracks on that Zeppelin album. I love the folkiness of it and the overall vibe of it. I mean, Pictures of Home is a great one too, and that's actually one of my favorite tracks on Machine Head. That gave wave to the whole. I mean, Yngwie was like influenced by that. All these like shredders in the '80s, Blackmore really like influenced a lot of them. But I mean, overall vibe, I think I'm going to go with Zeppelin on this one. Battle of Evermore. I love the interplay between Robert Plant and Sandy Denny on there too. Both the female and the male, singing. I don't know. It's just great. It's a great track. I'm going to go with that one. It's a tough one, though. This is a tough one for me.
Yeah, the Battle of Evermore for Al. Eddie?
Yeah, that's a real tough one. I will split with Al here, but I got to say Battle of Evermore is a very, very, very close second for a lot of the reasons he said. I love that song. It's mystical. It's magical. I love it. I love when it comes on. It's amazing. But I'm going to give Planet Caravan the edge. There's just something about Planet Caravan. Oh, man, when I listen to it, it's actually my favorite song on this album.
Wow.
On Paranoid. Yeah, and although it just slightly edges out another song, and it's funny that my favorite song on Black Sabbath's Paranoid would be the acoustic, folky, kind of jazzy in spots too.
Jazzy, very jazzy.
Yeah, very jazzy when that solo comes in and the pianos, the fade out. And I love a lot of jazz too, so that's cool. And there's just a vibe. Like you don't even need to be getting high to feel high when you listen to Planet Caravan.
Yeah, you're right.
Of course, Pantera did a great cover of it too.
They did.
But the original is still my favorite. There's just something magical about it. I love that effect that's on Ozzy's voice. It sounds like it's hanging in space.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's one of my favorite Black Sabbath songs. I love Planet Caravan, so that wins for me.
That's a tough choice for me too, man. I love that.
And for the production on that song way back then, and that they were on a shoestring budget, even with Paranoid.
Yep.
So that's amazing how they did that, how they worked so hard. But this is going to be a three-way split because I'm going to go with Pictures of Home.
Wow.
I love that track.
You got a tie.
Pictures of Home just jams, man.
It is great. That is one of my favorite songs on Machine Head. That's probably like my second or third favorite song on the album. It's a great song. It's really rocking.
That song, after you're so used to all the big hits on Machine Head, you listen to the others and you're trying to find a standout. To me, Pictures of Home is a big standout on that album. So nobody wins there, I guess. 3-1-1-1.
We'll see. We might need a tiebreaker at the end.
Yeah.
We might need to pull out some bonus tracks or something. Some
exactly.
Demos. Who had a better demo?
Well, we'll see how everything goes, but we each picked a different one for the third track. That's awesome.
Yeah, well, we knew it was a hard one, so
it really was.
It was a hard one, man.
Track 4, Black Sabbath with Iron Man, Led Zeppelin with Stairway to Heaven, and Never Before by Deep Purple, which was the first single released off this album.
Oh, really?
Was the Never Before.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's weird that you never hear that on the radio.
Yeah.
So, it's just because you would obviously think it would be Smoke in the Water or Highway Star. Like, to me, those are the two songs that scream first single.
Or Space Truckin'.
Yeah.
Maybe even Space Truckin'.
That was the first one.
Weird. That's just weird.
Because after Al had said that on the B-side of When a Blind Man Cries, it's a B-side to Never Before. And when I kept on reading, it said that Never Before was the first track.
Wow, that's weird.
The first single released.
Yeah. It's a good album track. It doesn't sound like it should be.
But I didn't think it was going to be a single either.
Let alone the first single.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's history made. So, Al, what's your pick for track 4?
Well, Iron Man was like the first song I ever learned on guitar. I think it's a lot of people's first riff that they probably ever learn. It was definitely my first riff. I remember being a kid, plugging that guitar in, bro, and just on one string. It's iconic, man. I mean, that song still gets played on the radio to this day. But I got to give it to Stairway to Heaven, man. I got to give it to Zeppelin. I mean, that song is just so iconic. I mean, I know people kind of make fun of it. You think about Wayne's World and the sign, no Stairway to Heaven, and all this stuff. And there was a time in my life where I was actually didn't want to hear it, man. I heard it so much that I just was like, when I came out, I was like, I had to turn it off. But nowadays, as I'm older again, I do realize the craft of the songwriting that's in that song, the way it builds up to the end, and then Jimmy's solo is just so iconic. Bonham's drumming in that. I mean, everybody, you always hear these stories about everybody strives to write their Stairway to Heaven. You always hear about, Metallica's Fade to Black, that's their Stairway to Heaven.
Yeah.
Or, Judas Priest, now I'm blanking out on the song from Stained Class, Beyond the Realms of Death.
Yeah, Beyond the
That's
Realms
their
of Death.
Stairway to Heaven. You always hear that type of class that people put that song up on. So whenever you have these classic 500 song classic rock songs, it's always number one, and it's for good reason, because it's a awesome song. So I got to go with Zeppelin, Stairway to Heaven. It's so iconic. I'm not faulting it because of overplay or whatever. I think it's the best song out of all three. So that's my pick.
Copy and paste what Al said. I'm going with Stairway to Heaven. It is overplayed, but when you listen to it, especially if you haven't listened to it in a while. I mean, you could say that for all these albums, especially 4, which is technically doesn't have a title, but we all call it 4. But when you haven't listened to it in a while, especially when you get to Stairway to Heaven, there's something magical about the song. It's one of the greatest songs ever written. Mm-hmm. It's the way it builds, the production. I mean, Jimmy Page is my favorite producer. He's amazing. Not enough people talk about him.
We had this conversation not too long ago about great producers, and it seems like Jimmy Page never gets name checked. And he's like, look at some of the greatest sounding albums of the 70s was Zeppelin.
Yeah, I think from Zeppelin 1 peaking with Physical Graffiti, every Led Zeppelin album was like the best produced album that year, Yeah. And then I think Physical Graffiti is one of the greatest produced albums of all time, and that's his peak. I'd say
that was my number one Zeppelin album.
It's my number one too. And it battles Back in Black for, I think, like best produced sounding rock album of all time, like just from a sonic production standpoint. Yeah. Jimmy Page is amazing. Yeah. And as great as the first 3 Zeppelin albums are from a production standpoint, he totally, stepped up his game with kind of the last track on each side of 4. And Stairway to Heaven, it's amazing produced, the guitar solos, everything. It's an easy song to kind of dismiss because it's been overplayed for so much. But if you really sit down and listen to it, it's one of the greatest songs ever written in the 20th century. And it still has some magic to it. Even with a little bit of burnout factor, when I listen to it, I still get a little bit of a feeling. And I got to tell you, Iron Man's definitely very burned out for me. I don't think, and it's a great song, but I don't think it's one of the better of the early Sabbath songs, actually. And, there's just no question that Stairway to Heaven, that was an easy one for me. And it sounds like for Al as well. Yeah, easy win there.
There's going to be a clean sweep because this was easy for me. I love Stairway to Heaven. I don't care how many times I've heard it. I still love it. There was a little time, like Al said, where you're like, ugh. Yeah. But now, especially in the context of the album, it's like when you hear a song on the radio that's overplayed, you're like, ugh. But then when you hear it in an album setting, you're like, man, that's perfect. That's perfect exactly where it is. But Stairway to Heaven, we've talked about what a perfect song it is. And it is. It's a slow build up with acoustic guitars, and then it ends very bombastically with Bonham and Page doing some of their best work, and then the vocals by Plant over it. You know, it's a great song, and I knew that was going to win for me.
Yeah.
Because that was one of my easy ones. Was this one here?
Yeah.
So Stairway to Heaven wins that one. That was the first win for Led Zeppelin, believe it or not.
Oh wow, yeah. I guess it is.
Yeah, it is. That's odd because
it's the most popular album of the three.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But when you break it down, you get some different answers. Track number 5, Black Sabbath, Electric Funeral. Black Sabbath, Misty Mountain Hop.
Zeppelin.
And Smoke on the Water by Deep Purple. Now,
this is a bit tough now. Looking at these three, you got the iconic Smoke on the Water, one of the most iconic riffs of all time. You got Misty Mountain Hop, arguably one of the greatest drum tracks ever laid down to tape. Drummers always strive for that sound. And you got Electric Funeral, man, which is one of my favorite songs on the Paranoid album.
Yeah.
Probably could be very well my favorite song on there. This is fucking tough, man. I think I'm going to give the nod to Sabbath with Electric Funeral.
Okay.
I used to play that song in a band that I was in, and I had such fun playing that song. The riff in that's like incredible. I mean, Naomi, come on, man, with the wah-wah and everything, and I just had a blast playing that. And this is a tough one though, because all three songs are great. I mean, for me not to pick Smoke on the Water because the iconic nature of that song. However, I don't feel that that's like their best song. I mean, I think it's just one of those songs that got picked by the masses as like the song, to represent this band. Much like, Thin Lizzy, The Boys Are Back in Town.
Yep.
Same fucking type of thing, Everybody like knows that song. I don't think that's their best song by a long stretch.
Yeah.
I feel the same way about Smoke on the Water. I don't feel that that's their best song. Misty Mountain Hop is a great song. I mean, the vibe of that song and just the whole drum groove that Bonzo lays down. But I'm going to go with Electric Funeral, man. I'm going for the deep track on this one.
Nice.
Sabbath, my friend.
Right on. Me and Al are going to start this bromance because, although this wasn't even hard for me.
I love all three songs, but I mean, one I kind of threw out just now in my head.
I actually just kind of like the other two songs. They're all right. But totally what you said about Smoke on the Water. It's all about that riff. Yeah, that riff. It's an iconic riff. I get why that's a popular song, but it's probably about mid-tier for me on Machine Head. It's probably like maybe it's like my 4th or 5th favorite song. It's not that high, even on that album, let alone Deep Purple's whole discography. Misty Mountain Hop, I don't know. I mean, the drum sound's awesome. I agree with you about the drum sound, but that's never been one of my favorite. That's my least favorite song on 4. I don't know. Something about Misty Mountain Hop's just never really connected with me. But Electric Funeral, god damn, that's the one. Remember when I said Playing a Caravan was just edged out one other song?
One?
Yeah, Electric Funeral was the one that just edged out. Electric Funeral's close.
Yes.
That song is so badass. It's just so heavy. And that sound that you were doing earlier, the wah, 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 wah. And then all the changes, and it goes into that middle part. And I love when Ozzy's voice, when he goes, Electric Funeral, Electric Funeral. It sounds so psychotic. And again, the lyrics, like War Pigs, it's like about a nuclear holocaust. And it's just so modern and futuristic. It's still heavy. If you release this song to this today, it still would sound heavy and powerful.
Yes.
And just so unique in that guitar sound. It's just everything about it. It's amazing. It's an amazing track. Electric Funeral, like one of my favorite Black Sabbath songs, and that's saying a lot.
Love that song, man.
Awesome song. So easy win for me. Electric Funeral.
So Electric Funeral takes this one, but I am going to my pick. I love Smoke on the Water.
All right.
Okay.
With that riff, the storytelling, because it tells a great story, and they name check and they name check Frank Zappa and the Mothers. Yeah. What more can I ask for? And they talk. It's so visual when they're singing this song. You can see all this happen. You can see the smoke on the water. You can see the fire because of the way that they're describing it. I think it's a great track. It's one of my favorite songs on that album, even though it didn't win, but that's all right. But Electric Funeral is also one of my favorite songs on Paranoid. Just that I went a different route, Smoke on the Water, and Misty Mountain Hop. I'm with Eddie on that one. It's not one of my favorites on there. It's kind of a lightweight song for me when everything else is just so great. That's kind of a lightweight song for me. So I went Smoke on the Water with that one. So let's get on to track number 6. Black Sabbath with Hand of Doom. Wow. Led Zeppelin, Misty Mountain Hop.
No, we already did. Go to California.
No, wait, I'm sorry, 4 Sticks.
Oh, 4 Sticks. That's right.
It's 4 Sticks. Yeah. Sorry about that. I misread it. And Lazy by Deep Purple.
Another great one.
Yeah. Now this one was easy for me.
This one's
easy for me too.
Kind of a little easier for me too. I'm throwing out 4 Sticks. I do love that song though, but in the context of these 3 songs, that's last for me. Lazy is a great song. I used to do that in a band that I was in too.
Oh wow, really? Man, yeah. That's a good song and a hard song to play in the live. Yeah. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was one of the hardest songs for me to learn, actually. Although I don't do the solo in it, I kind of laid back more on the rhythm. We had 2 guitar players in that band. Okay. But the other guitar player was a workhorse. He actually had guitar synth and guitar, he could cover the synth. So he would cover John Lord's part while I played Blackmore. And then when it was time to go into the solo, he took the solo too. Oh, wow. I was more of a rhythm player. I wasn't a big soloist, but anyway, but Hand of Doom. I mean, I think I'm going to give it to Hand of Doom. I think I'm going to give it to Sabbath again. Hand of Doom, man. I mean, just, again, like warning about drugs and, being on smack. And I mean, lyrically, it's unbelievable, man. I mean, Geezer, again, shows his genius in like lyric writing. Very ahead of his time, man. And he's very underrated as a lyricist. People should name check him more when it comes to lyrics, man. And they don't. And it's a shame because he's in my top 5 lyricists of all time. So I'm going to go with Hand of Doom because that song just rules. I mean, I love that song, man. I like it way more. I like it more than Lazy as well. If I'm going to listen to these 3 songs, my go-to is Hand of Doom. So Sabbath takes this one for me too.
Eddie, which way are you going to go on this one?
Easy for me. Hand of Doom. I love Hand of Doom. It's my 3rd favorite track on the album. It kind of foreshadows Master of Reality, which is great because I like that album even more than Paranoid. Yeah. It's just so doomy. It's like I feel there's a whole genre of metal based on this one song. That's how awesome the song is, and that great bass line, Geezer's bass.
Starts off mellow and
a little jazziness. You listen to Billboard. Billboard's such an underrated drummer. Always brings that swing and jazz. He's doing like stuff, little stuff like he's doing, and it's all great. And then built in again, kind of like the last song, Electric Funeral. There's this cool middle section, which is something they expanded on a lot with the next 2 albums, and it's just a badass song. It sounds again so modern and dark and powerful. I love Ozzy's voice on it. I like 4 Sticks. I think it's a cool song, and it's probably the least played song from this album. So that itself makes me like it. I mean, I wouldn't go so far to say there's any deep track on 4. I mean, I've even heard 4 Sticks on the radio sometimes, but if there had to be a song, if you had to call one song a deep track on 4, I guess it would be 4 Sticks. So I like that. Oh, I know. When I got into Zeppelin, I had that box set, that early 90s box set, and 4 Sticks was like the only song from 4 that was not on it. so when I listened to 4 for the first time, it was kind of cool to hear that song. So I do have kind of fond feelings of 4 Sticks because it was like the only song that wasn't played to death on 4. That being said, it's not one of the best songs on the album. It's cool. I like it, but it ain't no Hand of Doom. And Lazy, it's all right. I don't know. It's a little too jammy for my taste. It might be a fun song to play live, but I don't know. It's all right. It's a little too hippie jammy for my taste. So easily Hand of Doom.
This is gonna be a clean sweep because I'm with Hand of Doom.
Right on.
That's such a haunting, scary, realistic track. Again, just like War Pigs, talking about the ugly side of life, and your skin starts turning green, and you need someone to help you push the needle in. Man, how lost are you in this horrible drug? It's just an awesome track, and I gave it to Hand of Doom as well. I'm not going to add more to it because both of you already did such a great job of that. So track number 7, Black Sabbath's Rat Salad, and Led Zeppelin's Going to California, Deep Purple, Space Truckin'. Come on, let's go space trucking. So, what do you got, Al?
This one's a little easier for me. I love Rat Salad. It's a cool jam, but I got to throw that one out. It's not the strongest one for me out of these 3 songs. Going for California, great song, great vibe to it, great acoustic. Kind of like, you sit around a campfire and, you listen to that. Kind of like getting the mood, Space Truckin', man. Great riff on that. Great interplay between Blackmore, Lord, and all of them. Pace is awesome on this. So I'm going to go Space Truckin' on this one.
Stop.
Deep Purple, Space Truckin'. That clearly wins for me, man. Iconic riff, too, man. I love that. I love the riff on that, man.
I gotta say, to me, same thing. Easy, Space Truckin'. It's rock. I guess that's probably my second or third favorite song on the album. It's really good. It's really catchy. It's heavy and kind of funky at the same time, which I always dig when things are heavy and funky at the same time. Great riff. Love it. It's great. It's great closure. Obviously, this album has less songs than the other 2, but. Yeah, I like Going to California. It's a very pretty song, nice melody. Even though Jimmy Page hopped in a time machine and stole it from Pearl Jam, but he made it. He made it because he has powers like that. Actually, he didn't need a time machine. What am I talking about? Jimmy Page. He just used his black magic to do it.
Wait, what was the Pearl Jam song?
It's that song from Yield, something about flying.
Oh yeah, Given to Fly. That's it.
It's a nice song. But people always saying Jimmy Page steals music. It's like Jimmy Page steals music from the past and future. Because he's a genius. That's what a genius warlock magician does. He did a nice riff off of that Pearl Jam song. So good job there. And Rat Salad's not. Hey, come on. God. Even I love Sabbath, but come on, that's just kind of a throwaway jam. It's all right. I love Bill Ward's drumming, but it's not. There's no competition here. Yeah. Definitely Space Truckin', in my opinion.
Yep. That's a clean sweep. I went with Space Truckin' too. Yeah. The vocals is just so heavy metal. Yeah. It's just a great track. I love the way that the instruments are on there from the beginning to end. A little bit long on Made in Japan on their live track, a little bit long, but on the album version, great track. So,
hey, Al, question: Jersey band, you like Overkill? Did you ever hear their cover of Space Truckin'?
No, I never did, man. I like Overkill, but I never heard their cover of it.
I recommend. There's a great cover album they did called Cover Kill.
Yeah, okay.
From the late 90s, and they do a couple Black Sabbath songs. They do some Kiss songs. They do some Ramones, and they do this great version of Space Truckin'.
Oh, okay. I gotta check it out.
Yeah, I think you dig it. It's good. It's good cover.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I like Overkill too, man. I don't have every single album in their discography, but I'll check that one out, man.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's great. They actually do it really. It's interesting because you wouldn't think this would be a Sabbath song they cover. They cover two on they cover three. They cover three Sabbath songs. They do Never Say Die, Cornucopia, and one of my favorite Sabbath songs. And they actually cover Changes.
Oh wow!
And they do a great version of Changes. It's like the bass, Dee Dee's bass is like doing the piano part.
Oh, okay.
And it's really interesting. It's like you wouldn't think that would be the song Overkill would cover, or they would, being a thrash band. But they do this really cool cover of Changes. So yeah, definitely recommend Cover Kill. Definitely check it out.
Overkill, okay.
Yeah, cool album. Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah.
Last track number 8. This one we had to add one by Deep Purple, and Al brought to our attention the B-side to Never Before, which was When a Blind Man Cries, will be the entry by Deep Purple. Black Sabbath is going to hit us with Fairies Wear Boots, Led Zeppelin, When the Levee Breaks, and Deep Purple with When a Blind Man Cries. Al, what do you got in this last track?
When a Blind Man Cries is a cool B-side. I'll say that, man. Really cool, bluesy. Almost kind of reminds me of Since I've Been Loving You by Zeppelin. Kind of same kind of vibe as that song. When a Levee Breaks, again, the iconic opening of Bonham's drumming that so many people have sampled, so many people have strived for that drum sound. Which is iconic. I mean, and you got Fairies Wear Boots, which is a great closing track on this album. I'm Paranoid. I mean, for me, it's down between When a Levee Breaks and Fairies Wear Boots. Man, I think I'm going to go with Sabbath, man. Fairies Wear Boots. As much as I love When a Levee Breaks, it got a great groove to it. Fairies Wear Boots, man. Just a killer track, bro. What a way to end an album, too. You know? Yeah. The guitar on Iommi's guitar is just so fluid on that song. His riff. It just, like, and then it goes into dun, 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 and, it's got that kind of like it shifts time signatures. It's just such a cool song. I mean, I listened to that song constantly when I was a kid, listening to it on headphones when Iommi comes in with that riff and you got that echo kind of bouncing, you hear him on one side, it kind of the echoes, the bounces on the other side of your headphones. So cool to listen to on headphones. So I'm going to go with Sabbath on this one, man. Fairies Wear Boots.
Right on. I love Fairies Wear Boots. But I'm gonna go Zeppelin on this one. When the Levee Breaks, man. Yeah. That's my favorite track. That's my favorite track on 4. And the opening drums, like Al said, and that production on those opening drums, the echo and it's such a modern, powerful sound. But then the guitars and it's one of the great blues epics. It's this bluesy, sexy rock song. And even though I've heard it like a billion times in my life, there's just something about that song.
Such a great groove to it, man.
Just such a great groove. You just hear it, and it just sounds like the fucking bluesy apocalypse is coming to town. And I just love that song. So to me, When the Levee Breaks, easy win here for me.
For me, I'm going to agree with Al with Fairies Wear Boots.
Ooh.
That's a great track. I love it. I love the lyrics. I love the way that Ozzy just spits them out. He's just so great on this track. So I am going to go with Fairies Wear Boots. And when Levee Breaks, you're right. with John Bonham's drums and the performance by Robert Plant. It's so heartfelt and great. You can feel it. But for me, Fairies Wear Boots. It's one of my favorite songs on Paranoid. So let's take up a tally, and I also had a poll up on Black Spinner Circle, and some of our people on the page also voted on this. So as we take a tally, we picked four songs for Paranoid, two for Deep Purple, and one off of Led Zeppelin, which was Stairway to Heaven.
Wow.
I know, which was a kind of a surprise for me, but it looks like, and then of course we did have the tie, the three-way tie with track number 3, but it looks like Paranoid won.
Wow.
Paranoid, and then in second place came Machine Head, and then Led Zeppelin 4. And for the Black Spinner Circle page, it was 9 for Paranoid, 6 for Zeppelin 4, and 3 for Machine Head.
Yeah, well, it seems like Paranoid won across the board.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. It really did. And Paranoid, being the first one out of the 3, was the Forerunners, and
I
it
would
really
say,
did a good job.
I would say, in my opinion, overall, the album that I like the most would probably be Paranoid as well. If I had to pick between the 3 complete albums,
Yeah.
it would probably be Paranoid, and Zeppelin, and Deep Purple for me.
Same exact for me too. Yeah, and Paranoid only by a little bit. I really do love 4, but yeah, I'd give Paranoid the edge. Definitely. It's just again, it depends on which album. Like if we were comparing it to Physical Graffiti, then I would give Zeppelin the win. But but no, in this case, I definitely would give Paranoid the win as an overall album. But it sounds like scientifically we proved it was the best, just track by track.
Yeah. So for me, it would go with same thing. With Paranoid 4, and then also Machine Head. But I know I didn't pick that much off of the Led Zeppelin 4, but when you listen to it as a whole,
it's a whole album.
It's fantastic. But then when you break it down and put track against other tracks, you come up with something a little different. So that's how I would have it. Well, thanks a lot, everyone out there, for watching, and thank you, Al and Eddie, for joining me tonight. This was a whole lot of fun. I really enjoyed it.
Nice to meet you, Andy.
Yeah, good times. I'll come back on again sometime in the future. It was a lot of fun. Like talking to you two guys. Good times.
Oh, great. I got some topics coming up, and in July, everybody, I'm going to have an American theme for the whole month of July. So we'll be doing our top 10 albums of 1976, American artists only, for that one. And then also the week after that, we are going to be doing the top 10 Aerosmith albums.
Well, if you want someone to come on, I'm a huge 70s Aerosmith fan. And,
all right.
Rocks is, I immediately thought of that when you said 76. I was like, ooh, Rocks. Yeah. So I'll come on to talk about some Aerosmith with you guys, definitely.
All right, great. So I will pencil you in. It's going to be Wednesdays at 8. It's spot that I like.
Yeah, if you just give me like a week's notice.
Of course I will. And then also the week after that, we are going to be doing your top 10 bands from your home state.
I got a lot of good ones from Jersey.
Yeah, and I got quite a bit different ones from Texas. And it could be either the state that you live in or the state that you were raised and born in. So, and then for the last, and I've been in Texas my whole life. And for the last for the last Wednesday of the month, I've been kicking this one around. So I have figured out it's going to be your top 10 songs with the words USA or America as that are going to be in the title.
Okay.
So that's what we have going on. Once again, thanks a lot, guys, for joining me. Thank you so much for your expertise and for your love for the music. I mean, we can go on and on about these 3 bands, these 3 albums full of these songs. And thank you everyone out there for watching us. I've been watching that numbers going up and down and likes, and so thank you so much for that. We'll be back again next Wednesday at 8 p.m. with that topic being our top 10 albums of 1976, American artists only. So we will talk to y'all then, and thanks for watching. And Eddie, you take care of yourself, and Al, take care of yourself. I'm sure I'll be talking to y'all throughout the week. So y'all take care, guys.
Take care.
Later,
Cheers.
guys. Good times. Later.